Welcome to the Business of Dance podcast, where you'll learn what it takes to create your dream professional dance career.
Join us as we dive into the insights and experiences of the world's top dance industry professionals, including dancers, choreographers, agents, casting directors, educators, and other dance industry experts.
We explore a diverse range of topics, from personal development and mental skills to audition techniques, creating meaningful industry connections, social media marketing, seeking out dance agents and casting opportunities, on-the-job etiquette, talent unions, pitching to the media, health, finances, and so much more.
Here is your host, Menina Fortunato.
I am so excited for today's guest. She is a professional dancer turned success energetics mentor for high-achieving women ready to 10x their life, business, and bank accounts without burning out in the process. Now, she's originally from Sydney, Australia. She moved to LA when she was only 19 to pursue her professional career in dance. And she lived that dream for over a decade, performing on the biggest stages and TV shows, working with artists like Cher, Nick Jonas, Bad Bunny, Will Smith, Marc Anthony, BB, and so much more. And now she runs a 7-figure coaching business that combines her expertise of pursuing unrealistic dreams with scalable wealth creation and aligned strategy to help women create extraordinary success while living an extraordinary life. Now living in Los Angeles, please help me welcome Tanya Jane. And the crowd goes wild. Welcome. So good to actually meet you face to face because we've been chit-chatting for a few months now, I kind of feel. And we have to give a shout out to our girl, Tiana Gandelman. For those of you who don't know, she was on the podcast about a year and a half ago-ish. And we go way back because we used to dance together back in the day. We literally moved to LA the exact same summer and worked together on many shows like America's Got Talent, The X Factor, and some cool stuff. So anyway, so excited to have you because, you know, cool people attract cool people and like attracts like. And I was really intrigued because you were actually on her podcast. That's how I found out about you. And Tiana had also great things to say about you too. And I actually listened to your episode. Shout out again to Greenlight Your Own Life. That's a great interview that you did. And I just feel like, well, I relate to your story so much because I think we've got a lot of similarities in our background and doing some kind of similar things-ish today. So let's take us way back to little Tanya. When did she start dancing? Where was this? What styles? When did that dance life begin?
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. It's so cool to see all your faces. So I grew up in Sydney, Australia, and I started dancing when I was 5 years old. And I started actually working professionally very young. I was only 8 or 9 when I started actually working professional jobs in Sydney. And I was working from that age, 8, 9, consistently until I came to LA at 19. So I got a lot of experience. I got to be on like really big stages, work on like X Factor, The Voice, So You Think You Can Dance at the award shows in Australia. So I had a really cool upbringing with my dance life in Sydney. And I like to say I wasn't a unicorn experiencing that by myself. I actually just was, I feel like in the right place at the right time in a studio that gave us a lot of opportunities. So it was really cool being on these jobs actually alongside of my best friends. And we'd be like going to the MTV Awards to perform and being like, all right, let's get McDonald's. Where are we sleeping tonight? Which house are we staying at? So it was like this very unique experience, which I didn't realize until now in hindsight, looking back. But I was very prepared to come to LA so young at 19. I was very ready for it. I wanted it. I knew I wanted to be here. I think I decided at around like 15 or 16 that LA is where I want to go. Had no idea how I was going to do that because obviously I live on the other side of the planet. But I was like, that's cool. I'll figure it out. All good. We'll make it happen. And I really just had my eyes set on Los Angeles. So I would actually come here for some holidays in my like school break. I would come for like 2 weeks and train. And I wouldn't say I was networking. I don't think I was like there yet with my mindset of like, let's try and like move here. I was just taking class and being in America and taking photos of like yellow school buses and being like, oh my God, I'm in America. I was just like, I was just like freaking out and everything. And then, I ended up making that happen, which was kind of a crazy story, which I'm sure we'll get into, and then moved here at 19. So that was my childhood, which was awesome and amazing and prepared me very well to move here.
Well, you must have had a really well-connected studio because Australia, to get on all those major shows before 19 is huge. Like, did you even have an agent or was this through your studio?
It was a long, long time ago, but I did have an agent, but it was, my studio had a lot of the best, she really made an effort to get the best choreographers that were actually working professionally to come out to the studio. I guess I thought we were very talented, young kids, and they were like, okay, great, let's put these kids in music videos on award shows with the artists of Australia and do all these things. So yeah, like I said, right place, right time. I didn't have to audition for that, which, you know, we can kind of talk about this a little later when we get to the LA section, but I think that set me up for a lot of success, like knowing how to be on stage, knowing how to have like, you know, walk into a room, have strong presence, how to work professionally in a room professionally. But I wasn't very prepared for the rejection, the auditions, and obviously being in LA, no family, no friends. Like, it was just such a big contrast to my career here, to what I grew up just naturally flowing in. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Okay, so you have a great resume at 19. I mean, not many dancers in any country have that type of credentials at 19. There's a huge obstacle for many international dancers, which both you and I experienced. Let's talk about the O1 visa, because
Let's talk about it.
that is something both you and I went through. I went through it long before you. This was before social media days. I had a website that was like avant-garde of the time. That was my online presence. But how did you do it? Essentially, who was your petitioner? Maybe you want to explain what it is and why you needed to get it as an Australian, because some Americans don't even really understand that there's a whole obstacle that is required to just get the right to work, let alone, it's hard enough to move to a new country and to even book a job. But it's extra hard when you don't even have the legal right to work. How did you do that?
Yeah. Okay. So right before I ended up moving to LA, I did actually book a contract when I was 18 for Universal Studios in Singapore. So I wanted to preface that because I was straight out of high school, went to this audition, didn't think anything of it, nearly actually didn't go because I slept in. I was a bit of a lazy teenager. But I nearly didn't go, ended up booking it, and was like, oh, okay, I'll do this contract. So I did have a lot of finances from that contract that an 18, 19-year-old probably wouldn't have had from saving up on a contract like that, because it was a 13-month contract. We were paid very well. All expenses were covered on things like those. So I was saving intentionally, knowing as soon as I finish this contract, I'm going to LA. So as soon as I finished that contract, I came to LA. It was January of 2012. I feel like I'm dating myself, but it was 2012. It was a long time ago.
I was on the decline of my dance career at that point. But, so you're just getting started. You're good. You're young to me.
Okay, good. I stayed in a hotel for a month. I was coming here just for 4 weeks. That was the plan. I'm coming here for 4 weeks in January, which was in Australia, school holidays. I had actually already set up a lot of work for myself back home, like got my teaching job set up for the year. Okay, I'm working at these studios. I'll be back, January 30th. I'll be ready for when school goes back, and we'll jump right into everything. So I had my 4 weeks of me living my LA life. And obviously I knew I wanted to be here. This was the goal, but I had no idea of this process. And I wasn't also in a massive rush. There was no like massive pressure that I was putting on myself of like, I have to figure out how to move here. By the time these 4 weeks were over, I actually didn't have any pressure on myself like that. But I was here and I came prepared. I came with resumes. I came with audition outfits. I, brought everything in my suitcase because I was like, I don't know, you just never know. We'll see what happens here. So I would go to classes with my bag, with resumes in my backpack. I'd go to lunch, like in between classes with people, resumes in my bag, like dance clothes in my bag, audition clothes in my bag, just ready for whatever would kind of come my way. And I was actually, I think about 2 weeks into my trip in LA, and we were at Aroma Cafe, Menina.
Studio City.
I know, yes.
On Tahunga.
On Tahunga Boulevard.
Yeah, I was there a year ago. Great. It's like the spot. Everybody has lunch there. Yeah, it's the who's.
It's still the spot too.
It is still the spot, because I remember being the spot 25 years ago, and it was still the spot when I went last summer. Keep going.
Yeah, it's busy. So I was having lunch there and ran into some people that I'd met in class because I also came here by myself, knew no one. So I was just making friends along the way. And I ran into some people at Aroma Cafe and they're like, we're going to the MSA audition. You should come. And I was like, well, when is it? They're like, it literally starts in 45 minutes. Like, you're going to have to like leave from right here. So I like finished my meal, got a taxi because there was no Ubers back then. Got a taxi, went to this audition. And like I said, I was prepared, walked in, did the audition, and I was just happy to be there. I was just excited. I was like, can't believe I'm auditioning for, an agency in LA. This is so cool. And then I got a call back and a call back and a call back. And then they asked me to come back the next day. And then I got the email saying that they wanted to sign me. So they had a meeting with me. And that's when I learned about this entire process, which is, the first thing they said was like, do you actually want to move here? Like, would you be willing to move to LA? And I was like, it's my dream. You have no idea. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. I'm ready. And they're like, great, here's an immigration attorney. You're going to have to book an appointment with him. Make sure you have money saved because it costs a pretty penny to get your visa. And all these words and terminology. And, I was 19. So I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, this is so I just became an adult like yesterday. So what do you mean? And then it snowballed very, very quickly. I booked an appointment with the attorney. He saw my credentials. Do you want me to explain this process or how?
Yeah. And you kept saying he. Is this Kevin?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Fun fact. I was his second dancer case ever in 2000.
Oh, you set him up for success, girl.
And I told him, I said, you help me, I will tell everybody. But the agents didn't even know about him yet.
Oh, yeah.
I found out a dancer. I don't know if you remember the Edge Performing Arts Studio, but I met another dancer there who was Canadian who had hired him, was trying to go through the process, and he'd only had one dancer case under his belt. He was only helping like businesses, international business and stuff, but he took on a dancer case. So I was the second dancer case at 18, also spring chicken, going, how do I move here? Shout out to Kevin Levine.
Yeah, no, seriously. He did pretty much all of my visas. Here's a funny story about this situation because for a visa, for those of you that are wanting to move here from another country, you do need to have a lot of credentials. You need to showcase, it sounds crazy, but you need to showcase that you need to fight a case that you're basically too good for your own country. That's like the whole thing about it. It's very bizarre and weird, but you're basically saying, see, I've done all these jobs, like, I need to be in America now. So this is like what the paperwork's all about. They're showcasing jobs you've been on, the artists you work for, the choreographers you work for, the prestige of it all. And a lot of it is beefed up with like very fancy words, they're
extraordinary talent, the best in the country.
Yeah. It's actually quite hilarious reading your paperwork and embarrassing a little bit. But yeah, so I got an email from him and he was like, here's what you need. And a part of that, of what I needed, was all of my credentials, documents, newspaper articles, anything that showcases that I have a lot of credentials. And I thought he sent me that email saying I needed that for my interview, not for the visa, like for the process. So I stayed up the whole night before I went to meet him with my parents on Zoom. Actually, I think it was Skype back then with my parents.
Did Zoom exist back then?
Yeah, I definitely didn't. And I was like crying because I was so tired. I was like, you need all these documents. Like, I'm so stressed. Why did I do this to myself? And so I walked into Kevin's office and like literally had my visa on like a spread being like, these are the jobs I've done. And he was like, oh, you can move here. Like, you only need a deal memo, which I can explain, and, a few letters. Like, you're good. You're ready to roll. Like, if you wanted to move here, I would suggest not going back to Australia and extending your trip in LA and try to get this deal memo done because we could have this done really fast for you. And so I was like, say less. I sent an email to all my jobs back in Australia and I was like, won't be coming home, get someone else for all those teaching jobs, had to learn how to drive on the other side of the road because
my gosh, I forgot about that. Australia's on the other side of the road with driving. Oh gosh, that's got to be hard.
Yeah, it was wild. So I was like trying to learn how to drive on the other side of the road, trying to find accommodation because I was living in a hotel and I was like, listen, I'm going to stay for 3 months. I need to find a place to live. So I was doing all of this crazy stuff, like, looking at apartments on Craigslist, walking into strange homes. Like, it was sketchy, but I had survived. Like, I don't know how I did it, but I just did it. I was running on adrenaline. So I figured out a place to live. I got a car that I rented. I was like, I'm staying. I'm going to figure this out. And the deal memo that you need is basically someone saying that they will sponsor you as their assistant, as a dancer on their jobs, or someone who's going to be working and affiliated with this choreographer or creative director, or someone that has their own reputation and that reputation is pretty public. They basically have to sponsor you. And a lot of choreographers are very, very willing to do this, which is so amazing. And we're so grateful for them. So the scary thing about that is you need to approach them. You need to walk up to these people that you don't know and be like, will you sign all these very legally binding contracts to my life? And say like, you will let me, work for you, even though you don't have to let me work for you. It's this whole thing. So I stayed and I started going to auditions because I was signed with MSA at this point. And one of the auditions, I got kind of to the end, but I got cut. And this choreographer came running out and he came up to me and tapped me on my shoulder and he was like, hey, I just want to let you know that you were really, really good. We wanted to keep you, but you're just way too short. And that's why we cut you. And I went home, researched this guy. And I was like, I'm going to ask him to sign my deal memo.
Oh, that's
my paperwork. Yeah. I was like, he came up to me. He chased me. He clearly sees something in me. And I'm in LA. I've got 8 more weeks in this city. Like I didn't extend for no reason. Like I'm moving here and I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to pull off a miracle. So I was like, oh my God, who is this man? What does he do? Where does he teach? And I saw that he taught at Edge. So he was like teaching a class that week. And I was like, great, booked in, going to his class. So I went to his class. And then he remembered me and I was like, hey. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to bombard him just yet. I'm going to come to another class. So I, he started seeing my face and he remembered me. And then I would come again and he was like, picking me out and doing all this stuff. And then I finally worked up the courage to ask him after class. And he literally was so chill about it. He was like, yeah, I'll sign whatever you want. Just send me whatever you need. And I was like, okay. So yeah. So long story short, I had an agent, my deal memo, and my visa was filed, completed, and I had officially moved back to LA, and I was here now on my visa by April. So it happened very quick. That was January, and then April I was in LA.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
It took me a year just to gather the documents, let alone actually getting the visa. That's record time. That's amazing. The one big takeaway that I get from this for all dancers, regardless if you're an international dancer or not, is don't be afraid to ask for what you want. I mean, you clearly had a one-track mind. I was the same way. You were like, I'm going to make this work. My back is against the wall. The clock is ticking. I got to figure this out. You're doing what most people would think is impossible, but you did it. And that level of determination and massive action taking is required to be successful in this business, regardless if you're international or not. Just the fact that you had to go through all that hoop just to get the work visa, to get you the right to work. Now everything else is like almost smooth sailing because you're like, yeah, I've already like jumped through a million hoops to get here.
No, totally. Once I was here, I was like, I did it. Okay. And then the next hurdle came with like, oh, I got to book a job now. Okay. Here we go. Yeah.
Well, that's really, really inspiring and so great to hear that you had what sounds like relatively easy process, which is not always the case for everyone. But I really get this, that you're energetically just very determined. You're like, you don't take no for an answer. You're just going to get things done. And, young and naive, not knowing what you're doing. You're like, okay, immigration attorney, tell me what to do. I got all the fact that you did this overnight, that you got all your documentation ready for him overnight and was sleep deprived. And he was like, oh, your visa application is ready to go. This is great. So what are some things, if you kind of just itemize some of the things that you had to have that you prepared for this documentation?
Yeah. So the first thing that you need, if you're thinking about moving here, the first thing that you can start working on and start like putting together is every job you have ever done, whether it be big or small in your mind, whether you think, oh, that was no big deal, but maybe it was like a random performance for Easter at like a massive festival. It still could be something because again, these attorneys are good with their words. They can make it out into like, oh, she performed at this place that had 20,000 attendees. Like, they will jazz it all the way up. So look at every job you have done, big, small, amazing, whatever you think was great or not great, just throw it in. And if you aren't planning to move for a while, I would also start looking at how you can get featured in some like local newspaper articles, getting on any, if you can get in front of even doing a podcast or just anything where they are featuring you and who you are. And even though it sounds quite intimidating, especially like in your local city or your suburb, it's quite easy to do. They need these
Stories.
people to feature in these articles. So they're looking for talent. They're looking for stories. So pitch yourself, put yourself out there, start stacking up all of your paperwork of your jobs and getting yourself some articles, because that is half the battle. And they do look at who you are, what you've done, and take a lot of that into consideration to actually, move the process forward. So that's what you can do right now. Then after you have this, so ticking all of that off, then you need to get, I'm pretty sure okay, so it has to be an agent, or apparently, I don't know if you knew this, Menina, but apparently it could be an American citizen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's another company. I didn't.
Oh.
My petitioner was not an agent. It was Universal
Oh, okay.
Polydor Records.
Oh,
And
okay,
was-
see?
because it was a recording artist. He had a 3-year recording contract with Universal. So I piggybacked that, and they basically said, "Oh, we're going to hire this dancer for the next 3 years of this Universal contract." So I had Universal. I didn't even have an agent.
Oh, wait, no. But who sponsored you? Because MSA sponsored me, and then
I
Ben
didn't
was
ha-
like my petitioner. Or was it the same thing for you?
It was Universal Polydor combined with Brighton McClure, the recording artist. The two
okay.
combined were they offered the deal memo. They were my petitioner. I had actually an agent lined up who basically said, once you get this visa, we'll represent you. But at the time, the agent never helped me at all.
Oh my gosh, okay. So yeah, you don't actually need an agent to do this. But I personally did have MSA be my petitioner, and then, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. Even though I've had 4 O1 visas, I'm still not actually sure what that means. But they did basically take accountability for me being in the country, basically saying I'm responsible for her her coming here. Then after you get your petitioner, your sponsor, you need to showcase you have work for the next 3 years. And I know that sounds crazy because in the dance industry, it's like, who has work for the next 3 years? Like no one, or that we know of. But there is ways around this. So it's like, if you go to conventions happen annually and it's on record. You can see that. You can Google a convention and it's like, oh, this convention happens 3 times a year and it has been going on for 15 years. And then that convention could technically sign your deal memo and say, she works for us in all of these conventions and will be working for us for the next 3 years. So you basically need to find a company or a choreographer, creative director, anyone that is in the industry that showcases that they have ongoing annual work that can be proven online, which is not that difficult. Even choreographers who teach at Millennium or choreographers who teach at these studios, because on their schedule, they're weekly and they're on the schedule. So it could be you're assisting them or you're working with them weekly at these classes at Millennium for 3 years. You don't actually have to work for this choreographer or, be in those classes, but it's just paperwork. So that is like the 3 main chunks that is needed. They're the biggest hurdles. And then there's like some letters and some other little things that you get to have, basically, letters from maybe choreographers that you've worked with that can vouch for you and say really amazing things about you. And that's basically it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then if you ever print the package, it looks about this thick.
It's huge.
Did you have to print it? Did you have to print them or was it all digital for you?
My first 2 were printed and then I never saw the rest. So they must have been digital by that point.
Yeah, I still have mine somewhere stacked away. And it was like this big fat thing of just paperwork. And it's crazy because an immigration officer who knows nothing about dance is basically responsible for saying yes or no. So it's all about the fancy words and the recognizable names and the big credentials to match it. And yeah, the attorneys are really great about using big words. And now we've got ChatGPT, so we can write letters in seconds. Oh my
gosh. What a blessing.
When people actually wrote letters for me and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of spelling mistakes. Can you redo it?
The letters were interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. Nice word. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to LA, you got the right to work. You had a good decade run as a professional dancer. What were your favorite jobs and why?
I think my favorite jobs were award shows. I really, really enjoyed award shows. There was a lot of pressure that comes with that, depending, your rehearsal period and whatnot, because obviously award shows are taped live in front of artist. Everyone that is important is there in the audience watching. So there is a lot of pressure and you can't mess up because it's a one-take situation. But I kind of thrive off that kind of pressure. So I enjoyed that. But I also just enjoyed being in an environment where there was all these other artists, all these other dancers working on the same job. It was just like a very fun, every award show I did always was just such a fun day, interacting with like the other camps and the other teams. And I don't know, it was just a very cool thing. So I really enjoyed award shows. And most of the time they are in arenas as well. So it was like special moments for yourself that you reflect on later because you're under pressure and you're focusing. But then when you go home, you're like, that was really cool. That was really cool. So award shows were like probably one of my favorites. And then I did love traveling. One of my last jobs was one of my favorites as well. I was touring with Empire of the Sun, which is a band. And we did Europe and Australia and a couple of shows in LA. And that was actually in 2023. That was my last professional job that I did. But I loved it because we did a lot of festivals, and festivals are also really fun. They're a really fun time.
Amazing. Now, you mentioned 2023, and that was your last dance job.
Mm-hmm.
So what led to the pivot, and what are you currently doing now?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm currently running my own online coaching business, similar to what Menina is doing, having, clients who I'm mentoring, who I'm supporting, who I am helping in their careers. And I absolutely love my business. I cannot believe that I don't dance anymore. That was actually never the plan of why I started my business in the first place. I ended up starting my business January of 2022. So it's been a little over 4 years now. And I was still dancing during that time. So during that time, I was booked on J Balvin's tour, did a couple of things for him in 2022. Then 2023, I was touring with Empire of the Sun, and I was running my business alongside of that. And then my business eventually just kind of, started to grow and grow and grow. And my passion kind of started to shift. I also entered a new season of life, married now. I'm 34. So there was just like different priorities started to take place, and the business kind of just fit this new level of life that I was more leaning towards. However, when I started the business, it came from this season of my life where I had, how do I want to say it? I went through a season where I got quite negative, a lot of the rejection and a lot of the no's and a lot of the emotional roller coaster of being in the entertainment industry and being out here in LA and doing the visas and doing all the stuff. It started to stack a bit and take a toll on my emotional and like mental well-being. And I didn't have the tools to really understand how to process that. Like I said, kind of like earlier on, when I moved to LA, I was very prepared with like how to be on a job. I knew how to be on a job. I knew how to book a job, go into an audition room. I knew how to like hold myself professionally in regards to that. But when it came to handling the no's, handling the ups and downs, it just took a toll on me. And I actually decided to stop feeling sorry for myself and change my mindset and learn about mindset and learn how to change my thoughts. And this is now a big part of my business and what Success Energetics is. It's basically upgrading your thoughts, your beliefs, your self-image, how you see yourself, how you identify with yourself. So you can walk into any room, you can handle disappointment, you can handle uncomfort, you can have rejection, you can get people saying no, and you still feel solid, you feel clear, you feel confident, sure of yourself, and you just keep going. It doesn't really take you out. Or if it does, it's like a little bad day, a little bad hour, but then you're back at it because you're kind of unshakable. And that is what I worked on for myself. And it blew my mind how much working on my mindset transformed my life and my career. I was booking more jobs with so much more ease, making so much more money, and things just felt so much lighter and so much easier in my career. And that blew my mind. So I was like, I need to tell anyone that's going to listen to me, I need to tell you how like your mindset, your thoughts are really impacting the jobs you're booking, how you're feeling on those jobs, how you're feeling in your life. And, how quickly you take risks and make big choices and decisions for yourself. Because like we've been talking about this whole time, like moving to LA, putting yourself in these rooms, it takes a lot of confidence. And if you are lacking belief in yourself, like who's going to believe you? Like you got to bring it. You got to bring it. And you got to know how to fill your cup back up in moments when you are getting no's back to back to back. Maybe it's been a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And you're starting to be like, when am I going to book that next big job? Or I've been at this for so long, I haven't gotten the one that I really want yet. If you can't control that kind of mindset and use your energy to work for you, it will spiral you. You will get in your head, start second guessing yourself, looking around at everyone else, comparing yourself, comparing journeys. And that takes a toll on you and the way you feel. And we dance because we love it. It's our passion. But what we don't want to happen is our passion turn into something we don't enjoy anymore, or we want to walk away from it because we couldn't handle that pressure, or we didn't know how to process the ups and downs of the industry in a way that was powerful. There's ways to do that. So that was my journey. And I was so mind blown by what happened. Some examples I can think of was I decided to shift my mindset because I was in a funk. I was having a mood. I was like upset. It was also 2021. So LA was kind of still in COVID era, and there was like no jobs. Yeah. And on a visa, I can't work and I couldn't get unemployment. So I'd just been doing nothing for like a year and a half. So I was like kind of in a funk and I was frustrated, and I was like, I don't know how I was, like 29 at that point. I was like, it's taken my good years. Like I want to be out there. Like I came here to I'm paying for these years on this visa and I can't do anything. And I felt very stuck. That's probably the best way to put it. And I was just like, no, I'm going to stop feeling sorry for myself. I'm just going to stop sitting here being like, I'm stuck. Because that was getting me nowhere. So I decided to change my story. I was like, I'm not stuck. I'm here because I'm here in LA. I'm like, there's more opportunities coming. They're starting to come back. The industry's starting to come back online. And I was like, I'm going to make myself feel good. I'm going to get out of the house today. I'm going to the gym. I'm getting myself back. And I didn't change anything. Like I didn't go to any auditions. There wasn't any at that time. Like I didn't actually do anything different. I changed my mindset and how I felt about myself. And 3 days later, I got a call out of the blue and got asked, which many of you know this is rare, got asked to assist a choreographer who I didn't even know on a TV show for 2 months and be his associate choreographer. Yeah. And that job paid me more than any job I'd ever been paid in my life. And no one else was really working. And then that Monday I was on set, and I was on set for 2 months. And I was like, oh my God, this mindset thing, that was like magic. It worked. And so I just committed to it and my life transformed. So that is my business. And like I said, I never started my business to leave the dance career. It just kind of happened that way because, life moved in this direction. I moved in this direction, and it ended up just phasing out with like a new passion took over.
Well, as I think Tony Robbins likes to say, life happens for you. Sometimes we think in the moment that life is just crashing down and everything is falling apart. And there's a greater lesson sometimes in those hard times. I'm curious to know, because you talk about mindset, losing, rejection, getting cut at an audition, booking a job, getting fired from a job, let go from a job, all of those things. As you and I both know, that is a part of the journey as a dancer. We are going to get hired and fired and rejected and all of those things. What are some helpful maybe modalities that you use to help overcome and to get out of that sinking ship? Because you said you were in a bad mental state. What did you actually do to get out of it?
Yeah. So I have this thing that I teach my clients, and I call it the 4-step energy flip sequence. And I'll share that with you, because in hindsight, I didn't fully have like a process, but now knowing what I did, knowing what I was thinking and what I shifted, now I can do this energy flip sequence in like 35 seconds. If like I feel off that day, or if something's bugging me, it's like a very quick question.
Can we do it? Can we do it now?
Yeah.
All right, teach us.
The first question you ask yourself, and you can apply this sequence to literally anything, whether you're having a hard day at school or work or with a partner or with a friend, or you're stuck in traffic, or it really doesn't matter, or you're, at an audition and you are questioning if they're going to cut you or whatever it is. Or you did get cut. Let's just use that as an example. You got cut from an audition that you spent 3 days auditioning for. You got to the end and you didn't get it. You are probably going to be upset, frustrated, disappointed, maybe go home, cry yourself to sleep for like 3 days. And that's okay, right? However, you can have your moment, but we want to bounce back as quick as possible. And the only reason why you wouldn't bounce back as quick as possible is the meaning you're giving that experience. The meaning that you're creating is a story that you're making in your mind about what happened or what is happening to you right now. So I would do this all the time. I would get cut from really big jobs that I'd spent days auditioning for, and I would go home and be like, this always happens to me. This always happens to me. It's never my turn. It's always other people, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I can do this. And the story would just like take me out.
Spiral.
Yeah, it would spiral so fast. It was crazy. And that's because I associated a meaning to that audition when really I could create any meaning to this moment. And so if this happened, you get to change that story. You get to give it another meaning. So something that I used to do when I was dancing was the new meaning I would associate any no's I got or anything that I felt like wasted my time or whatever frustrated me. I was always saying everything stacks, everything's important. So yeah, maybe I didn't get that audition, but that choreographer knows who I am now. That choreographer knows who I am. If my agent submits me to them for the next job, there's a likelihood they're going to pick me up because they remember my face. I did get myself further ahead. This is the meaning that I'm creating for this audition and the past 3 days. And I changed the meaning. So step number 1 is asking yourself in the moment of frustration, what am I making this mean? Because the frustration you feel, the disappointment you feel is only coming from a story that you've created in your mind about what you are making this moment mean to you. So that's step 1, get clear on the meaning. Now, step 2 is that meaning you've assigned it the ultimate truth? And now the answer to this is always no. So the meaning of that was a waste of my time. I can't do this. Is that really the truth? Was that really a waste of your time? Is that the only truth available for you in the entire universe of what you just spent 3 days doing? No, there's another truth available. There's another meaning we can find, okay? So we just want to help ourselves disprove that experience that we feel like is so real. Because when we ask ourselves, is that the ultimate truth? And like for real, is that the ultimate truth? There's a part of you, even if you're so annoyed, there's a part of you deep, maybe deep down that's like, I know that's not really the truth. I know my career is not really over. Like I know that. Like I can feel it deep inside of me. So we want to discredit this big story we're making that's making us upset. We want to discredit it, kind of poke holes in that story. So is that the ultimate truth? No. Okay, great. Then step number 3. Well, what is the new truth then? If that story that was a waste of your time and that it's never going to happen and that you're so far away and that it's not working or whatever the story is, if that's not true, then what is the new truth? And then this is where you get to make one. Literally, it's that simple. You get to literally make one. What do I want to make this mean now? So you get to create a new meaning around what you're experiencing, and you put yourself back into the driver's seat and take your power back from that experience, and you decide what this means to you. And using this example, kind of like what I said before, the meaning could be, I just spent 3 days having my face in front of a choreographer that I want to work for. It's not this one, but it will be another one. It's coming. This is a sign that I'm right where I need to be. This is a sign that I'm on track. This is my new truth. Then the last step number 4, is what now? Now that that's my new truth, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit in my bed and sulk all day? Or am I going to get up and go have fun, live my life, go to class, take some new headshots? What do I want to do? What do I want to do based off this new truth that I've decided to be true about me and my career? And they get you moving in a better energy. And that doesn't mean you need to go work. Maybe that is literally get out of your house, go see a friend. Stop feeling sorry for yourself because that's not the truth anymore. You don't need to. There's nothing sad anymore about this. And that is the 4-step energy flip sequence, and it'll save your life. You're welcome.
Oh, I love that. That is honestly so helpful, I think, for any situation. So dancers, I hope you guys were writing that down. I hope you guys were taking notes. So the next time you have a bad day, you deal with any kind of rejection, you get cut from a job, you almost get a job, you book a job, they release you on the job, whatever the case is, use those 4 steps and how quickly because it is so true. Because you could say like, oh, I just auditioned for the last 3 days and I got cut. What a waste of time. I could have been doing other things. I could have, what a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. But no, you're right. You just got seen by a choreographer for 3 days straight. You made it to the end, which tells you that you actually are one of the best in the room. And maybe that reason why you didn't book it has really nothing to do with you. Like maybe you were just too short, like how you were, and it's just you don't fit the costume. And it has nothing to do with you necessarily what you did bad. It's just you are not right for that job for whatever reason or whatever the circumstances. And you are right that it may not be that job, but there'll be another. Just as you were looking for that job, there's going to be another job popping in one day. And sometimes I have found we can never connect the dots forward, but we can only connect them backwards. Have you ever been in a situation where you got rejected from something and then fast forward, you look back and you go, wait a minute, if I booked that job, I would have never been available to do this job. And that job was even better than the other job. So it was actually a gift. And you didn't know.
I was just going to say that, actually. I was just going to say that because like everything you just said is like, there's a thread to everything. And I actually had this experience where it was years and years ago, but I went to audition for Britney's Vegas residency. I think it was 2014. Okay. Britney's Vegas residency, the first audition they had. I think I only got to the second round of the auditions and I got cut like very early on in the day. And I was devastated. I was so upset about that. Then they did another call maybe a year later, actually, or I don't remember. I don't know. My years are blending together.
Later.
Yeah, later. And they did an audition because they needed a swing. Mm-hmm. And it was a closed call, so it wasn't as big as the first one. Same choreographers, went to that one. They didn't remember me from the first one because I got cut amongst the masses. And went to that one, and I made it all the way to the end, and I was on hold to be the swing. And then I got released, and I was so annoyed, and I was so frustrated. Then I was booked on another job, and I got a direct booking from my agent from those choreographers to do a music video with an artist. I think it was like way back when. But I was on another job, and I actually had to say no, and because I was touring with another show, and I was so angry because I was like, they remembered me, they reached out to me, and I had to turn them down. Like, this sucks. And then it was only a couple months later, they booked me on Nick Jonas for The Voice. And then they booked me on Nick Jonas for the Disney Awards. And then they booked me, and I worked for them for years, probably Latin Grammys, J Balvin, BB Rexa, like so many things. Like, and that came from not actually getting the original job, you know?
I love that. It's so true. Like, in the moment it sucks, but there's a bigger master plan that you don't really understand in the moment. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, that's why this all happened. Amazing. Okay, we need to do Q&A. All right, let's start up with Serena Wright.
I'm Miss Serena Wright. I'm 19 years old from a small town in Texas. And my question today is, as someone who is 19 and moving to New York soon, what was the biggest struggle you faced aside from all the
immigration stuff
that you faced moving away from home and starting in the dance world?
I think for me, it was more handling the ups and downs. Like for me, it was more mental. It was more the mindset of like staying in the energy of like something's going to happen, because when you move to when you're in New York, you're going to make new friends. That's going to be easy. You're going to love it. You're going to be taking class, all of that. Like, your life is going to kind of form just naturally, and it's going to be really fun and beautiful and, dare I say, easy. Like, you're going to meet amazing people and take class. But then you're going to have to hold the unknown of, when am I going to book a job? How many auditions am I going to have to do until I book a job? And then go to those auditions and hold that energy of like, no, I'm here on purpose. There is a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I wanted to come here. And maybe you get lucky and you book your first job, amazing. But then this feeling will still creep in, because after that job, there will be the same question, when's the next one? And there's always, for anyone wanting to be pro in the dance career industry, which is why you're here, there's always going to be a question mark after every job you book of like, okay, what's next? And that can be overwhelming and daunting and scary, but it's also very exciting. And I didn't know how to process that in a very positive way. So what I would say to you, and also my younger self, is like, that is the best part about why we do what we do, is that we don't know what is going to be that next thing. And you don't, like, any day could be the best day of your life. You could wake up with a text saying, can you come into the studio in 2 hours and be on this job? Which has happened to me. I've woken up to a text being like, would you be available for this tour? You would fly to Miami tonight and be gone for 4 months. Like, things happen all the time. And that's actually, it's a blessing and the curse of the industry, but it's a blessing, because any day could be the day that you book your dream job. And remember that and remind yourself of that, and know that you moved to New York on purpose, and it's just a matter of time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Serena. Next up, we have Alyssa. Introduce yourself. What is your question?
Hi, my name's Alyssa. I'm 25 and I'm from Canada. Earlier, you mentioned that, from a young age and from all the experience you had, that whenever you go to auditions and stuff like that, you kind of already knew the main things that you needed for auditions. What are the main things that I could take away for that? Like, when you're in an audition, what the main thing that I should have?
You need to walk into auditions feeling like you're the best. Like, you just have to. Like, and that's not coming from like, being up yourself or showing off. Like, if you don't, everyone else will, or someone else will be doing that. So you've got to stand out, and not from this place of like, I need them to know I'm the best, from genuinely being like, I deserve to be in this room. This is why I'm here. I'm here to bring it, and I'm going to. And staying in that energy and being able to walk into a space and kind of zone out the noise a little bit, zone out what everyone else is doing, what everyone's got going on, how like cheering everyone, of course, being present to the room, being in the vibes, but also being locked in on like, no, I got this. Like, I got this. And when I go out, I'm about to show up and I'm going to go hard because I can do this. And you've got to really have that fire. And obviously being auditioning for so long, but I've also been on the other side of the table where I've helped book a lot of jobs as well. And you can feel that. There's something about how someone walks and holds themselves through learning the combo. And remembering that eyes are always on you. So when you're learning the combo, even if you don't know it, try not to like look like you feel defeated, like stay in the zone. It's like an audition from start to finish, whether you're actually doing your round or not. And not from a place of like fear or, you know, oh my God, I can't mess up, because you can, but it's how you bounce back. It's how you hold yourself. It's how you carry yourself. And that's an energy, not like it's, you know, when someone's like, they've got that it factor, that's an energy. That's how someone holds themselves. So it's like walking into a room, tapping into that energy for yourself.
Yeah, amazing.
100%.
Thank you.
Yeah, because everybody is beautiful and talented. So you better believe in yourself, because if you don't, nobody else will. And genuinely believe that. And there's a bit of delusion, I feel like, that happens, at least for me in the beginning. I felt like I was like, yeah, I deserve to be here. Nobody knows me yet. There's 300, 500 dancers in the room. It's okay. Watch me.
You have to. Otherwise, you'll just
when I
blend
look
in.
back at, I was like, whoa, I was so naive. Like, clearly I was not the best dancer in the room. I know that now, but in the moment, I actually was like, yeah, I deserve to be here. I'm not good.
But do you know what? You've interviewed so many people on this show. Yeah. And like when I was even interviewing Tiana on my podcast, she spoke about it. Everyone says the same thing. It's like Tiana was like, I walked into audition for Christina and I was like, watch me. She was like,
there's a bit of delusion. It's like, you just, like, and Tiana, I was there for her Christina Aguilera auditions. She had these little boy underwear with the tight little body of hers and with her big fro. And she was like working it, and the whole room was like, who's that? I remember my Britney Spears tour audition with my silver metallic bra with fun straps on and silver makeup and my big curly hair. And you just got to be big, bold, and brave.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Alyssa. Next up, we have Ava Hidman.
Hi, my name's Ava. I'm from like the Pittsburgh area. I'm 19. What is like one piece of like advice that you wish someone would have given you at like that time of like your auditioning that like you have now?
One piece of advice would be to stay being a yes man. I think when I first moved to LA, I was just saying yes to everyone, and I was very big, bold, and brave. And over time, because of everything we've kind of shared so far of like the mental thing, getting rejected, I did feel confidence chip away. I did feel myself start to play a little more safe. I couldn't hold that energy that I'm saying to you guys of like walking into class being like, yeah, I'm it. Because I was like, well, I don't know if I'm it anymore because I've been cut from like everything I've been gone to. Like, so it really did mess with me. Learning how to continue to say yes to opportunities that come up, because saying yes to yourself gets you in the room. It gets you seen by more people, even if that opportunity was like yes to an audition, or that you are like, I don't even know if I want to do that. Let me just go. Let me get seen, because you just never know. And I was a very big yes person in those first few years, going to any audition, saying yes to any choreography you wanted, like a skeleton crew and all of this stuff. And then I just started to kind of like take a slower step back and slow down my pace a bit. And I do think that impacted my momentum a lot. Well, I know it impacted my momentum a lot. So I would say stay on your toes, stay saying yes to opportunities, even if you feel like they may not be the right one. You just never know where it could lead or who you may meet in that room.
Thank you so much.
I totally relate to what you just said, because when you move to a city and you're fresh and new, nobody knows you, got nothing to lose. You're like a puppy that just walks in the room and you're just like, I'm happy to be here. But then once you've been hit a few times, then you become the old dog that is like, I'm already bumped and bruised. And you're like a little bit like a skittish dog where, like the stray dog that's like, I don't know. Do I trust you? Do I walk in this room? I don't know. It can take a toll on you. And then you start to build a reputation, and then you start to worry about what other people actually think of you, because now you just came off a big tour. You must be one of the best dancers in the room, but maybe you're not so confident that day, and you're like, "Ooh, like I'm not living up to the name that I had last year." So
No, it's so true. Like the mindset work is forever. It's not just until you book the next gig, because once you book the next gig and you now have a reputation, the next fear is, I now have something to lose. Before you didn't have anything to lose. You just had everything to gain. But then once you're working consistently on these jobs, you now have the fear of, I don't want to lose this. And if you can't like get a grip on your mindset, like it gets loud, and you got to just like calm that beast inside of you, calm down, to stay in the zone, stay confident, stay calm, grounded, when you're booked and when you're not.
100%. Thank you so much, Ava. Next up, we have Skylar. Introduce yourself. What is your question?
Hi, I'm Skylar Caldwell. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Sarasota, Florida. And what is something that you wish more people would ask you that they normally don't?
Oh, I have something for you. Okay. I wish, so even on this call, that we talked a bit more about fear and understanding what fear actually is, because a lot of people feel like fear is a sign to stop, or fear is a sign that they probably shouldn't go that direction, or it's like a signal to take a step back, or maybe you're not ready, or whatever it may be. But fear, and this is something I didn't understand for a very long time, fear is not a sign to stop. It's just a sign that you're doing something brand new, and it's actually the green light, not a red light. So when you do feel fear around moving to LA, moving to New York, going to that audition, putting yourself out there, sending an email, posting on Instagram, whatever it may be, and you feel that fear bubbling up, fear is a very normal part of the process. It's going to be following you every step of the way, and you just get used to handling it. And instead of processing that fear as a sign that maybe you shouldn't put yourself out there, maybe this is a signal that this isn't the move for you. Anytime you feel fear, know that it's a sign that you're doing something new. So of course you're scared. It's actually a green light. It's not a red light. There we go. We found one.
Good. No, and I totally agree. Do the scary thing. Like I literally tell my 6-year-old this whole time. Anytime he's like scared, like first day at a class of some kind, oh, I'm so scared. And I said, well, you're gonna do the scary thing. And what happens after you do the scary thing? You're not gonna be scared anymore. It's like getting on a roller coaster. The anticipation of like, oh my God, I'm so scared to get on it. And then you get on the roller coaster, you're like, whoa. And then you get off the roller coaster, you're like, oh, that was fun. Can we do it again?
It's always the case. After you do it, you're like, why didn't I do that 3 years ago? Like that was so easy. I should have just done it before. So yeah.
And then you'll become a thrill seeker where you're looking for fear.
Yeah, then you lean into fear. Then you're like, oh, I know this feeling. Here we go.
Like, oh, I've conquered this already. I've already been this roller coaster. I need to now conquer this next challenge. But it's true though. Like once you do scary things, it gives you the confirmation that, okay, I didn't die. I survived. It actually felt good. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to try even something else that's even scarier. And then you start to take away the power that fear has over you, because it never goes away. You're always going to encounter situations that, give the butterflies in the stomach. I mean, even just performing. Would you agree that there's never really a performance where you're not a little bit scared and you have those butterflies? Like, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. It never goes away. Dance, show. Go ahead.
No, you're
Go
good.
ahead.
I was just going to say, I say that fear, doubt, and imposter syndrome is always there. Like it's always there. It doesn't go away. And I tell my clients all the time, like, imagine you're in the car driving to your dreams, wherever the dream may be. You have to stay in the driver's seat, but in the back seat, for sure, is fear, doubt, and imposter syndrome. They're there, but we don't let them lead. We don't give them more attention. We give them toys to be quiet back there, and we stay focused, hands on the wheel, eyes on the front. But don't let fear, doubt, or imposter syndrome be a sign that you can't do this. It's the most normal part of the process. You will feel it, and it's no big deal.
You and I must have read the same books or something, because my mentor has this story with fear. She's like, fear's in the passenger seat, you're in the driver's seat. Fear's going to be here. And you say, hi, fear. I know you're here. You're never going away. But guess what? I'm driving this car. You're going to sit in the passenger seat.
That's so crazy. I actually thought I made that up. Dang it. Maybe I mustn't have.
Well, I like the playing with toys in the backseat part, though. That's a cute add-on.
I added my kid.
Love it. Thank you so much, Skylar. All right. Next up, we have Jordan.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm 20 years old and I'm from Vacaville, California. My question is, what is a skill that you think tour dancers should always have in their back pocket?
Oh, tour dancers? I think a skill for being on the road, traveling, is being flexible. Like, okay, Menina, maybe you would agree with this, but there's been some jobs that I've been on with traveling and tours where some people get very uncomfortable not knowing what their schedule is or being in different places all the time and being comfortable being uncomfortable because you don't know where you're waking up. You don't know where you're staying. You don't know what the stage is going to be. And for a lot of people, maybe that uncomfort can be a bit overwhelming. I personally loved having no idea where I was waking up and, washing my face in a small sink and like just kind of like being uncomfortable. I thrived being uncomfortable. So I think a skill set for if you are planning to go on tour and being on tour is be comfortable being uncomfortable and kind of just going with the flow. You have to go with the flow. If you're too tense or you have too many expectations or need of how things will go for you to feel okay with yourself and your show, you can really psych yourself out because you just got to roll with the punches on the road.
The quote, be comfortable being uncomfortable. I know I didn't coin it and neither did you, but I actually put that in the first mindset lesson of this program. Dancers, do you remember that quote that I put in the lesson? The fact that you're just like reiterating what I already tell them. But it's so true. Adaptability, especially for tour life, is so important because you don't know where you're waking up half the time. Yes, they give you a schedule and your hotel and the venue, all that sort of stuff. But things change and you're in different environments, different languages, different countries, different foods. So being open to trying new things and just kind of going with the flow, because if you're the type of person that like, I have to go to bed at this time, I have to wake up at this time, I read at this time, I got to work out at this time, and suddenly you're off the rocker and it's not exactly the way you want it to be, then you're not going to be able to function on tour. So you need to kind of learn to go with the flow. Like, ooh, today is a day off. Okay, I'm going to make sure I sleep in. And ooh, I'm in a different country. Maybe I'll go explore because I'm being paid to travel on someone else's dime. And it would cost me a lot of money to go to the same place again one day by myself on my own dime. So I'm going to go explore and see the world, especially, tour life is the best for that. Like when I've been to over 40 countries and a good chunk of that was all dance related. It would be very expensive to go back to those places on your own dime. So explore, try a new language, try new foods, and be okay with the time change. That's something that's going to be really hard on tour. Would you agree that the time zone, sometimes you're like, woo, what day is it today? What time are we?
Yeah, it's a thing. Like, and just, the whole premise of be comfortable being uncomfortable, like flights being delayed. You're meant to have a day off, but your bus had a broken tire. So now you're in the middle of nowhere for the entire day of your day off and you're not getting off the bus and you can't do your amazing activity and you can people.
Or show get canceled.
Shows get canceled. You just gotta be like, I'm on the best adventure of my life. Like, there's nothing for me to be upset about. And if I'm on the bus all day, then so be it. Like, we're watching movies, great. You just gotta flow with it because it is a blessing. It's such a dream job to be traveling and doing what you love.
100%. All right. Thank you so much, Jordan. And looks like our last question from our mentees is Sophia Nelson. Introduce yourself. What is your question?
Hi, my name is Sophia Nelson. I'm 18 and I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. And my question is, during those times when you aren't constantly getting booked for jobs and you're kind of just auditioning constantly, what are some things that you found or like little side gigs that you found that were able to help you survive during those times?
The feast and the famine. How did you deal with the feast and the famine? What was there in between stuff?
Yeah. Okay. So, especially being on a visa, for those of you that are moving from other countries, being on a visa, you actually can't get another job. So you can't work in a bar. You can't do certain things that maybe your American friends can do. So for me at that time, there was a gray area that I kind of dabbled in for a little bit, which was teaching fitness. I would because it kind of looked like a dance class or whatnot. So I would teach a lot of fitness, work at a lot of studios. I used to teach Pilates and group fitness and Zumba and you name it, I was doing all those things. But there's also a lot of gigs in LA that aren't those big jobs. So I used to work, do a lot of 1920 shows, jazz nights at the W Hotel. And there's a lot of gigs if you can get into those right circles. But something that I would even encourage you all now that we're in the era we're in now with social media and so many things are online. This is online. I wish I had started this sooner, which is looking at the skill set I have and doing something online with my own skill set and learning how to actually make my own money. So I didn't have to wait for any job or anyone or anything to feel good, solid, pay my rent. And then the dance world could actually just be the cherry on top. It wasn't I need this job because I need to survive. It was, I used to teach heels online before I started my business, like heels classes on Zoom to like my past students in Australia, do privates online. Like there are so many opportunities for everyone in the world these days with the internet, but especially for dancers, like having something that's a skill set that you have that you're like, you know what, I could reach out to the younger dancers at my studio and offer them like some sort of private, or I could reach out to people that I know here and do your own thing. That I wish I did start sooner, to be honest.
I love that. I love that you mentioned like an online remote job, because that wasn't really a thing in my era. But one of our mentees, Alyssa, she's actually training right now to be a high ticket closer. So working from a laptop is the way to go. So if you have other computer skills, or not even just computer, I mean, like you said, you taught private lessons. Actually, I have another alumni from this program, Sienna Morris, who was actually interviewed recently. She does a lot of private Zoom classes online. So she's able to serve dancers all over the place just from her living room. There's lots of ways to create the income. It doesn't always have to be from a regular quote unquote job, because in your case, you couldn't get a regular 9-to-5 job. You weren't allowed to. So you had to get creative in the dance, fitness, entertainment umbrella.
Yeah. If you ever catch yourself waiting for a job and it's gone on too long and you're, like needing that extra cash flow, like you can always create opportunity. You can create opportunity out of thin air. Like when I had that breakthrough for myself years ago, when I was like, I like need to figure something out. Like and also it was COVID, so it kind of forced me to, but I was like, I need to do something. And that I had this idea of like, why don't I just teach heels online? At that time, all the dance classes were online. So it didn't feel that far-fetched because everything was online. And I remember reaching out to a few people in my phone from like on Instagram DMs, some dance students that I taught when they were really young, but at that point they were probably like graduating high school. I remember I reached out to them. I was like, I'm offering privates, like it's COVID. So if you want to do some heels privates and like work on your audition technique, by the end of the day, I had like 10 privates booked in, and I was like, this is at my fingertips. Opportunities everywhere if you're actually willing to put yourself out there.
I love that. So resourceful. You sound very resourceful. Thinking outside the box, not waiting for somebody to say yes to you, but creating the opportunity for people to say yes to you. Amazing. Thank you so much, Sophia. All right. Now, before we go, do you have any final words?
My final words would be that you have to have so much self-trust in yourself to be in this industry. And that is a daily choice. Okay. That is a daily choice. Self-trust is not something that is like you get a plaque and you graduate and it sits on your wall and you're like, this is self-trust. I just have self-trust now. You have to trust yourself, believe in yourself, morning, noon, and night. And that is literally a choice. You got to wake up and say, who do I want to be today? I want to be someone who believes I'm meant to be here, who believes a job is around the corner, who believes I can do this. Something good is happening to me today. And I'm choosing that as my story, my belief today at 9 a.m. And I'm going to choose it again when I forgot by lunch, because you'll forget. And you just come back to it and you choose it again. And then by dinner, you're like, who am I? I'm feeling sad. No, I'm choosing to believe I'm this person. You got to choose that morning, noon, and night. So that is my last little words for you guys.
Love that. Well, on behalf of the Business of Dance, we send you lots of love. Dancers sure how we do. There's some virtual hearts for you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and being so open and transparent and energetic and inspiring. Dancers, I hope that there was something that you could take away, whether you're an international dancer or not, just the mindset shift, dealing with rejection. I think those are such great tools that every dancer needs to hear, because you're absolutely right. You could be super, super talented, but if your mindset's not in the right place, it could really hinder your success. Now, if dancers want to connect with you, what is the best way to connect with you?
I am on Instagram. It's the easiest way to get in contact with me. You're always welcome to slide in my DMs, hit me up, tell me your breakthroughs. I love hearing them. My Instagram is at the Tanya Jane.
At the Tanya Jane. Well, again, it's been such a pleasure to finally meet you, and what a delight, and so glad we connected. Dancers, I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
And that concludes another episode of the Business of Dance podcast.
We hope you found today's conversation insightful and gained valuable knowledge.
Be sure to join us next time for more inspiring interviews with top professionals in the dance industry.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to The Business of Dance on your favorite platform and take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.
This podcast is brought to you by the Business of Dance online mentorship program to help aspiring professional dancers create their dream dance careers.
Thank you for listening. Until next time.